Reddit stories. Pure, unfiltered terror. We've all heard of them at one point. Some are terrifying, some are blatantly fake. In July 2nd, 2021, an unknown game developer known as Rail released a VHS-style horror game inspired by r/No Sleep. Fears to Fathom is a psychological horror game that takes those scary Reddit stories and makes it into a playable experience. Today we'll be taking all 4 of the stories that the game has to offer and we're gonna throw them on this tier list. But remember, horror is subjective, meaning what's scary for me might not be scary for you, and so on. Are we clear? Alright, let's begin. Episode 1 starts us off in our bedroom. We wake up from hibernation, and right off the bat, something's not right.
What is real? How do you define real? This is the world that you know.
Yeah, it's rewind time.
We wake up from hibernation and realize we're home alone. As we exit our room, we get a text message from our mom informing us that there's lasagna in the fridge. We run downstairs and heat it up in the oven, sit down in front of the TV to eat it, and see a man walk upstairs. We go upstairs to beat his ass, only to find out that there's no one in here. At this point, it's pretty clear what's going on. The house is haunted. Woo! We sit down and do homework for 4 hours straight before drifting off to sleep. We wake up less than an hour later because our character needs to take a shit. Oh, my bad. Our character needs water. Wait a minute. There's no bathroom in this house. What if we did need to take a shit? Do we go out in the backyard and dig a fucking hole? This doesn't make sense. I swear, I remember there being a bathroom right here. Am I dreaming? Is this my house? We get the water, walk back upstairs, and right as we're about to go back to sleep, we get a message. Holy shit. There's a man at the front door. Oh god. Oh god! What if he has a knife? Or a gun? Oh god, I'm gonna die! I'm too young for this shit. I'm still a goddamn virgin. What? Turns out, it's just an old man. Wow. And that's episode 1 in a nutshell. I know from my summary it sounds like this episode isn't that scary, and it isn't for the most part. But that's not to say I didn't enjoy it. For starters, the game does an amazing job when it comes to building a great atmosphere. Despite the setting being a suburban area, there's this overall feeling of emptiness the entire time you're playing the game. Aside from that, there's a story. It isn't great. To summarize 15 minutes of gameplay, what basically happens is this. Old man showed up at my door at 3 AM. That's it. My main issue with this is that there are countless videos online with proof of people who have had weirdos show up at their front door in the middle of the night. And some of them have much more terrifying antagonists than an old man. I don't see what makes this story special. Maybe it's the part where he broke in. Too bad, I call bullshit. Overall, given it's free and different from most VHS horror games, episode 1 is not great, but it's not the worst. C tier. Norwood Hitchhike. We start off in a car, and this time, in episode 2, we have an actual story. We play as Holly Gardner, a fellow gamer who's driving home after being at a gaming convention. There's currently a ton of traffic on the I-95, so we've taken the long way through some back road on the projects. Unsurprisingly, the long way is gonna turn out to be the wrong way pretty soon. A large portion of this episode's first act involves driving, and I don't have my driver's license yet, and it shows. Be careful, because if you crash the car, you fucking die. Realism 10 out of 10. We stop off at a gas station and we meet up with, Are those people that you can talk to? Yeah! This guy, it doesn't talk that much. The cashier, on the other hand, it does. And unfortunately, he's full of shit. Scary ghosts on the road. Woo! Anyways, we pull out the driveway and proceed to get hit by some fuck. This time around, I'm able to pull out the driveway, and our character Holly has a midlife crisis. Keep this line in mind because it has to do with the overall theme of the episode. We continue driving for a little while and then our car combusts and we die. Just kidding, it broke down and we're left stranded. Originally I thought we were going to be the ones picking up a hitchhiker based on the title, but I guess not. Anyways, first car is approaching, let's see if he's a serial killer. I'm gonna go with no. Second guy? Oh fuck, we're dead. We're able to get a ride from this guy who was actually the guy back at the gas station, and he turns out to be a pretty nice guy. I've never seen the monster for myself, but there are some things. Cool. He drops us off at a motel where we meet the receptionist Joe. Now Joe is a man who is very horizontally tall. Just like Joe Mama, we tell him we're only going to be here for a few hours and he gives us a key to room 9. There's a man named Tommy in our bathroom, and sure enough, he touches kids. We move our stuff into our room and settle in for the night. Unfortunately, we're unable to sleep, so we go down to the local Starbucks and grab a cup of coffee. And this is where things start to go to shit. The coffee? Well, there isn't any caffeine in here. Only deception. We make it back into our room and pass out, and when we wake up, we realize we've been drunk. I don't like this. Oh, hello. It turns out to be Joe, and he tells us that we've been making quote-unquote goofy noises and disturbing the guests. We try to tell him our side of the story, and that we've been drugged by the coffee machine. But when we go over there to said machine, it isn't there anymore. He orders us inside and tells us to take some pills he has stashed away in our room.
Penis enlargement pills?
And we do? What? Why? What the fuck? We lie back down and again, someone's at the door. What do you want now, Joe, huh? Hello? Joe? Huh? Joe? Are you, sorry, I can't. We hide in the closet and a microphone icon pops up on screen, basically telling us we need to stay quiet. No problem. This motherfucker then kicks down the door and steps inside the room. He looks around, steps into the bathroom. At this point, our heart is fucking pounding. The only logical place to check next is the closet. It's now or never. We need to make a run for it. And that's the end of episode 2. The screen cuts to black as Joe decks the intruder, and Holly Gardner lives to see another day. It goes without saying that episode 2 is a massive improvement from episode 1. Episode 2 has a really intriguing story, and as a result, it has a much bigger world. It starts off as cliche as can be, but takes a complete 180 when the story starts talking about monsters. And not your traditional fictional monsters. Sociopaths, and psychopaths, and Twitter users. The events that take place in the motel are scary, sure, but ultimately they're unsettling. And that has to do with the villain in the episode. This man. We don't know for sure who he is, but throughout the episode you can see him following our protagonist from all the way back at the start of the episode, indicating that this was premeditated. Additionally, the coffee machine also suggests that this isn't his first rodeo. And again, that's pretty fucked up to think about. He's done this shit before. To other people. And we only got away because of Joe. Overall, episode 2 has a phenomenally frightening story. One that makes you contemplate life and scared to leave the house alone. Stop! We're not done yet. The story of episode 2 might be petrifying, but what about the gameplay? Well, like I said, it's a massive step up from episode 1, obviously. The entire first act where you're driving through the woods with the car and then into this musty, dusty, wherever the fuck this is great. And that's it. The motel sequence is eerie, but I didn't find it particularly scary. And in my opinion, that has to do with the fact that there are other characters around. Even though these guys seem extremely sketchy, it doesn't matter if the game decided to use them as the bad guys. I wouldn't care because that would be cliche. And if they weren't the bad guys, they'd most likely come to my rescue, which is what ended up happening. The idea of being surrounded by 2 other life forms who we visibly see eases the tension in episode 2, but that's just my thought process. Overall, Norwood Hitchhike is a step in a magnificent direction for the Fears to Fathom franchise. A tier.
What is it? More brutes?
Worse.
Carson House starts off well enough. We're in a laundromat, and when we open this door, it's fascinating and eerie. And then we realize it was all a dream, and that's it. That entire opening section isn't brought up or mentioned ever again in the episode. You can forget it even exists because that's what the developers seem to do. Anyways, we wake up in our dad's car and find out that we've been enlisted to house sit for a man named Mr. Carson, hence the name Carson House. The door is locked, so we head around back and get the key from under a fake rock. More importantly, the door is locked. Keep that in mind for later, okay? Okay! Moving on. We go inside and get some text messages from Mr. Carson himself, and find out that the only reason we're here house sitting is because we have to look after his dog Zeke. Now Zeke here is a friendly boy. He doesn't bite or show any aggression towards our protagonist. Again, keep this in mind for later. Anyways, he tells us to feed his dog, and we do so by grabbing a flashlight and heading downstairs and into the basement for some dog food. Now I will admit, the basement here is a 10 out of 10. Mainly because it reminded me of the basement from the first Conjuring movie. You know, the one where that woman throws a ball, and then the ball bounces back to her from the shadows. This part of the episode gave me extreme levels of PTSD. Luckily, we're not in here for long, or ever again for that matter. We feed this dog and then head back inside, where Mr. Carson tells us that his security system's been acting up. Apparently he's been watching too much Orange YouTube because this motherfucker has a ton of viruses on his PC. We fix that shit and get access to his camera system. Now the camera system is something I really like in this episode. It's a nice concept, but it's executed pretty fucking horribly. We sit down in the living room and watch what the fuck? And then, guess what? Can you guess what happens next? I bet you can't. We get a text message from Mr. Carson telling us to go out to the nearest 7-Eleven and pick up some groceries. Do I look like your fucking house servant? Fine, it's fine. We'll go out real quick, grab the stuff, and head back because maybe because we're leaving the house, something bad will happen while we're out, and then the horror will commence. We go to the store and, my god, we have to get items from the shopping list. Not that bad, right? Wrong. Every item on these shelves, you can't read them. What is that? On top of that, this old bitch is humming the entire fucking time.
Someone should put you in a box floating down the river, Grandma!
We ride out and come back home, and like I predicted, the horror can finally commence. Firstly, we get a message from our friend telling us to Google Roy Carson divorce, so we do. To summarize, Roy Carson, aka Mr. Carson, got into a divorce with his wife, who's a celebrity, and people aren't too happy with him. Infidelity, scandal, drama, basic celebrity shit. So that's what we have to worry about, I'm guessing. A couple of sociopaths dropping by to beat up Mr. Carson. We get a knock on the door shortly after. And oh my god, spooky. Finally, something's happening. Maybe there's a crazed killer out there. Wait, cameras. We can just check the cameras. Pizza Man. This is what I was talking about earlier. The cameras completely kill any suspense that could have happened in this scene. I'm talking, just grab that suspense by its neck and beat the shit out of it. Holy fuck. Anyways, take that pizza. Sit down, watch more TV. At this point, it's just a carbon copy of the lasagna section in Home Alone. Only there's no event that makes it significant. Aside from a knock at the door. Okay, that's kinda spooky. Oh wait, we can just check the cameras. Turns out it was a bouquet of flowers ringing the doorbell. Nothing to worry about right now. Holy shit. It's like my prayers have been answered. That suspense, that creeping terror, it's all bubbled back to the surface. My god, yes! Now that the power's out, the one thing killing the episode is disabled. What now, game? What now? Oh, I heard something downstairs. Oh no, what should I do? Oh, I know. Let's check the cameras. Now, don't get upset with me for using the cameras, even though I'm complaining about using the cameras. Because it turns out, if you don't use the cameras, you die. We go back upstairs, and the final act commences. The main antagonist of episode 3 is our protagonist's crazy ex-girlfriend. What? Come here, come here. We went from an old man to some crazy bitch. Everything in this episode, the immense pissing, that boring shopping section, everything has led up to this. If this story is real, which it fucking isn't, I'm not even going to entertain this conversation. Why? Logic. Let's begin. Firstly, you really expect her to bust open this door? Why not bar the door with all that shit in the background, use the desk, or jump out a window? Secondly, how did she even get in? I thought there was a lock on the door. Thirdly, why the fuck is this dog so useless? There is zero logic in this episode. It's like a revamp of episode 1, only episode 1 wasn't 5 hours long and it didn't force me to go shopping. Carson House is boring and just absolute wasted potential. If for some reason this is your favorite episode, I don't know what to say to you. A large portion of my dislike for this episode is due to the fact that Norwood Hitchhike was really good and then the quality seemingly dropped out of nowhere. The only part of Carson House that I enjoyed was driving the bike into the store and onto the front porch. D tier.
Wait, the fuck up, dumbass. You still have another episode to review.
As it stands, Ironbark Lookout is the latest and semi-final episode in the Fears of Fathom series. Is it gonna be any good? Well, I can't say for sure, but I'm optimistic. Is what I thought before playing it. It's now the future. And have opinions changed? Well, Ironbark Lookout starts off with driving. And we're not just driving any old automobile, we're driving an RV.
Yes! Hell yeah!
We play as Jack Nelson, a park ranger who's been recently transferred to a new location, and as such, that's our destination. We stop off at a local diner for some food, where we meet this man who's consuming a burger in the most disgusting way imaginable. We then piss all over the floor to mark our territory, and we hit the road once again. The game cuts to black, and we've reached the park hours later. It's here we meet up with Billy, and he gives us a key for the watchtower, as well as some friendly advice, or rather, a cryptic warning. Do not go north, bobcats and bears and such. White walkers too. Creepy. Oh god. We make it to the watchtower unscathed, that aroma of safety filling the atmosphere as we close the cabin door. For fuck's sake. Oh god, I'm gonna fucking piss myself. Now our job as a watchtower man is quite boring. But fortunately, we have entertainment.
Reminds me of when I had an affair with my wife, with a squirrel.
Ironically, that video is scarier than the entirety of episode 3.
New guy, haven't gotten your name yet.
Who said that? Holy Jesus. Is that voice acting? This is Connor. He's another poor soul like ourselves, occupying that tower over there. Only he's slightly short-tempered and kind of an asshole.
Son of a bitch.
But he can also be quite nice.
I know it's been a tough day, but you're doing an excellent job up there.
Maybe he's a nice guy after all. I might have psychological trauma. On our first night, Connor teaches us how to do our job. Our duties involve checking the temperature, the weather, as well as blatant lying. And with that, our first night is done and we can go off to sleep. Oh god damn it! Day 2 arrives and we're out on the balcony enjoying a hot cup of delicious hot chocolate. Such a beautiful day, it looks like nothing could possibly go wrong. We see some smoke off in the distance and we're called upon to go check it out. But wait, this smoke, it isn't just off in the distance. It's off north. Remember, bobcats and bears. So we grab our trusty bear spray and head out north. And fuck me sideways, this is where things get real. We reach the source of the smoke and hear a man screaming, followed by this dark silhouette whistling in the woods. Jokes aside, this is the most scared I have ever been out of all of these episodes, and it doesn't get any better from here. After extinguishing the fire, we start heading back, and while running back, you can hear someone or something rustling around in the bushes behind you. From here on out, the paranoia is real, because once you make it back to the watchtower, you realize you've been followed. I'm done. We tell Connor about what happened, and he doesn't give a shit. So to take our mind off things, we make a casserole instead, and all the while we're doing this, you can hear that asshole whistling outside. Somewhere, someplace, he's watching you. I mean, okay. It seems like I'm overreacting, and you might be right. On the bright side, we're in the safety of the cabin. No more fires to put out. That's where you're goddamn wrong. We might not need to put out any more fires, but that's only because we need to start one. And what do you need to start fires? Matches, check. Fuel, check. Wood? Oh my god, can we sleep now?
Nope.
In the middle of the night, we're visited by a monstrous figure, as well as the whatever the fuck this is. We call Connor and tell him about what just occurred, and he basically tells us to fuck off. Thanks, Connor. Day 3 finally arrives. We're on the balcony cleaning up our binoculars, and we see someone calling an airstrike. It ends up being a lost traveler who needs help finding his way. You can count on me, buddy boy. What is this? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Yeah, go right.
I couldn't have trusted myself with this decision. Thanks for helping me through this. I'm right here! I hear you. I hear your whistles. What? I see you behind the trees to my right.
He did. We're then interrupted by a knock on the door, and it turns out to be our good old pal Billy. Remember Billy? He drops off some supplies and asks us what the fuck we were doing up north. Well, how did you know I was up north, Billy? Were you spying on me? He pisses off and we finish the rest of that disgusting casserole, and we end the night by taking a piss and grabbing some firewood. What the fuck are you? This guy claims to be Silas, Yellow, a worker for that radio tower over there. The reason I say claim is because we later find out that this completely made up sounding name is completely made up. There is no Silas Yellow, there is no Connor, there is no bobcats nor bears, there is no you. These woods, they're not even woods at all. It's now 2 nights later and Windows 7 has been officially released to the public. The problem? The build isn't that stable. We make our way downstairs, fill up the generator, piss on the generator, and it very well seems like something bad is about to happen. But, what? Nothing bad happened? Ooh, mind games, my friends. Mind games. 1 week passes and we wake up in the middle of the night. It's Connor. God damn it. The nerve on this man. To call me in the middle of the night. I mean, can we have some human decency, please?
Do you have any idea what time it is?
Turns out, there's another fire in the woods. Oh god. And to make matters worse, it's in our sector of the forest, meaning it's our responsibility. We step outside onto the balcony and take a look through our binoculars.
The Ku Klux Klan!
Hello, your computer has virus.
Boom, bam, bop, bada bop, boom, pow.
I'm getting really sick of you!
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm kind of retarded.
The fuck you say to me, you little shit?
We run like hell, narrowly avoiding the clutches of
The Ku Klux Klan!
We hit the gas on the RV, and we GTFO, never to step foot in those woods again. Alright, I'll just come out and say it. Ironbark Lookout exceeded my expectations. The atmosphere, amazing. Things start heating up when you investigate the campsite, and it's from that point on you're left with this feeling of utter pants-shitting anxiety. Man screaming in the woods? Don't care for it. Dirty ass troglodyte creeping around behind the trees? Okay, that's kinda scary, I can't lie. But the cherry on top is when you walk back up the trail and you hear something rustling around in the bushes right before the screen fades to black. You make it back to the watchtower and you're tormented by what? Whistling. Instead of blatantly showing you that there's some bitch in the forest stalking you, the game instead implies this by using the whistling, leaving you to come up with your own theories as to what is making that sound. Is it, I don't know, some kids? Is it a cultist? Is it even human? Because it doesn't matter what image you create in your mind of whatever this person or entity is that's whistling to you, it will always be 1000% scarier than whatever the fuck it actually is. TLDR, your brain is a lot scarier than these pixels. Ironbark Lookout takes the best parts of every episode in the game, that being story, atmosphere, pissing, and makes it into a truly magnificent horror experience. Now before I give my final rating, one thing I want to touch on is the story. Cultists in the Woods is a bit outlandish, but not unlikely. So here's what I decided to do. At the beginning of the episode, it's mentioned that Jack Nelson, our protagonist, was a fire lookout in quote-unquote one of the largest forests in the Pacific Northwest. So with that in mind, I googled every large forest in the Pacific Northwest, aka Washington, and for good measure, Oregon. And using Google Earth, as well as landmarks, aka this stream of water, I began searching for that infamous watchtower. In reality, I spent 5 minutes on Google Earth until I got fed up of looking at trees. But then I recalled an encounter I had in the diner. One thing I forgot to mention was the disappearance of kids in the area. So instead, I searched for news reports on kids who had gone missing, and my god, a lot of kids go missing each year. Why aren't these parents keeping an eye on their children? I'll leave the speculation to someone else, because I am not cut out for this, at all. To conclude, Ironbark Lookout is, in my opinion, an easy S tier, and if you disagree, you can go fuck yourself.